Well, hello and welcome to the Dare to Differentiate live show. Whether you're tuning in live or watching the replay, I am so delighted and grateful that you're here. Let me know in the comment whether you can hear me clearly and where you are from. Hello and hello, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, guys, today. So the purpose of the show is to help you rise up, raise your standards, and reach your next level. Through weekly live trainings and guest interviews, my goal is to help you gain clarity, confidence, and a competitive edge. All right, so just let me check here to make sure things are working. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure things are coming through. Is everything going? Let me check here. You guys could hear me? Yeah? All right, Joanne said you can hear perfectly. Awesome. Okay. So I'm so excited to have you guys here today. So I'm Diana YK Chan. I'm a founder of My Marketability, where I help ambitious professionals, leaders, and executives to find the next career, find their next career, navigate change, and differentiate as top talent to get hired and earn more. So today's episode is about helping you decide your next career move. I specifically named it as deciding because I could also have named it planning as well, but I also want to help you to really figure out what's next as well so that you can gain some sort of clarity. So that's what we're going to do today. What we're going to cover today in this training, I'm going to talk about with some challenges and concerns that people have, and I want to hear from you as well. And then I'm going to walk you through a method, a 3-step method I've learned in strategic planning. And then I'm going to talk about the difficulty of change and what career fulfillment really means. And I'm happy to answer questions throughout as well. I really want to make it as interactive as possible. So I'm going to be asking you guys questions throughout. Feel free to take notes. If you have a journal, feel free to take notes as well. It's like training/coaching with me today. I'll be going through things for you to think about. So I'm curious to hear from you guys. Are you looking to make a pivot? Trying to figure out what's next. If you are, type in the comment to let me know. Type in pivot or what's next. And I would also love to hear from you. What are you trying to figure out? What's that next thing that you're trying to figure out here? I would love to hear in the comment just to get an idea of my audience. What are you trying to figure out here? Like, what are you stuck on? And what are you trying to decide? Let me know. Okay, so feel free to type in that there. Okay, so some housekeeping. Replays will be available on my YouTube. I will be adding some timestamps later on as well. The other thing is I will be having this presentation that you see here as well. I know just from experience that the quality is more clear on YouTube than on LinkedIn. So if you feel the slides are a bit blurry on LinkedIn, feel free to hop onto my YouTube channel to watch this there. Okay, yeah, feel free to click like and comment anytime. Okay. All right, so just let me see in the comments here. All right, so a few of you here in pivot. All right, so let me to make a pivot here. Okay, so tell me, what are you guys stuck on? What are you trying to figure out here? Okay, let me know as well. So I'm going to dive into things here. I think the training is going to be about an hour long or so, and then about half an hour Q&A. But I'm happy to answer questions throughout because I really want to make it interactive throughout this session here. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so let me just dive in a little bit here, a little bit about my career pivot story. So before I became a career coach, speaker, and trainer, I worked in corporate. I started off my career working in the telecommunications industry, where I was part of their leadership development program. And I rotated around working in operations, training, and marketing. And that gave me a pretty good perspective of what I enjoyed and what I didn't like. And 3 years later, I went to pursue my MBA and decided to make another pivot to move into management consulting in human capital. And that was when I started doing a lot more training design work, type of work, mainly focused on designing technical training on a very large scale project managing a team in India. And at that time, I thought I found my dream job that I'm pivoting into consulting. But then I realized that I wanted to do more work related to training facilitation versus training design work. So hence, that's when I went on a soul searching journey and decided to make another pivot into recruitment. That was another step closer to working with people, where I get to talk to people one-on-one, learn about their goals and dreams and desires as well. So I had the opportunity to recruit for an MBA, executive MBA program. Did that for a year and a half. And then afterwards, I lost my job after a year and a half and got another recruiting opportunity at Google to recruit here in Google Canada as their first and only recruiter. That was also the same time when I decided to start my business. And so I was also going through this, I guess, contemplating in terms of should I take this job or not, or should I focus on my business since I just started. And the way I told myself the story was that this was a fantastic one-year opportunity for me to learn about what top employers look for in a candidate. And little did I know that one-year opportunity really helped set this foundation of my business, where I now specialize in helping people with differentiate as top talent to get hired and earn more. So that's a little bit about my pivot story here. Okay, so let me share with you a few client wins recently that also made some pivots to inspire you. So recently I had a client that I worked for about 6 or 7 months at least, at the director, VP level client with 10 plus years of experience. He worked in corporate, and then the last 5 years he started his own marketing consulting business. And then last year he engaged with me to figure out what's next. He was trying to figure out, do I continue entrepreneurship or go back to work in corporate? But he also wanted to have a more balanced lifestyle there. So we really had to work through in terms of figuring out what are his core values, core strengths, what really lights him up as well. And then he recently just told me that now he's going back into consulting, where he is leading the e-commerce team in that practice there. So it's a bit of also entrepreneurship because he's building this new practice in e-commerce there. Another client win is another client of mine, actually based in Chile right now, who is going to be moving to another country to pivoting from finance to risk management internally at the same organization. And the way she found this opportunity was someone that she worked with like over a decade ago. I think it was her boss as well, that decided to reach out to her, and she's so happy and thrilled that she's moving back to her hometown there. All right, my next client win is another client just recently, where she's pivoting from pharma training to sales in a next level role. Now, she did have a background in pharmaceutical sales before. So in terms of this pivot, it's not as a difficult pivot because she did come from sales, but then she worked in training for the last 7 years and decided to move back into sales for a leadership position there. Okay, so these are just some of my client wins. I want to give some ideas of what is possible there. So here are some of the key learnings that I've learned from these clients is, one, pivoting is possible. Okay, pivoting is possible. Even though it may seem scary or daunting, stressful as well, it's certainly possible there. You need to know what you want. This is so key. And this is what we're going to really talk about today in terms of how you gain that clarity, is what is it that you truly want? What's really important to you there? Third is you got to embrace change and discomfort, right? Change is never easy and it's uncomfortable. And whenever you're facing something new, you just want to go back to what's comfortable there. But you got to embrace change if you want to grow and do something that you enjoy and find more fulfilling there. And then lastly is to believe in your value. Right. So a lot of times I hear from people like, I don't know if I can do this because I don't have this, but you got to first really trust yourself and believe you have what it takes in order to make that successful pivot there. Okay. So let me just take a pause. I want to look at some of the comments here as well to see what some of you are sharing with me as well. I have to say my house right now is really quiet because my husband just went out. So I'm not used to this. So the quietness right now here, and it feels a little odd to me because I'm talking to you guys and I can't hear anyone. So I'm trying to get into my groove right now to get in the groove and seeing all of you and I really get connected here. So let me take a look here of some of the comments. Okay, so let me see. Rose said, trying to decide whether to pivot into new industry, field, or keep pursuing my field of study. Okay. Nathaniel said is creating compelling, unique selling points. Okay, knowing what your unique value is. Let me see here. Dana, what's next? Same industry, better role for positive career progression. Okay, Stephen, do I try to marry all my past experience in a new role, or do I do something completely new again? Or if so, how do I figure out what's next? Oh, that's a good one. So you've made a pivot, and do I make another pivot here? Okay, let me see. See our pivot. What should be next? All right, you're all trying to figure out what's next here. Let me see here. Trying to figure out where my transferable skills would be a great fit for hiring managers. I was a property manager, HOA, for 10 years and was burnt out working long evening hours. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing, guys. I really appreciate this. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I will be diving in more into this training today here to go through more, and feel free to ask me questions as well. I'm going to take a pause along the way. And I want to let you know this, that if you are looking to make a big pivot, meaning do something completely different in a different industry or a different profession, it's going to take time. Okay. On average, a job search takes about 4 to 6 months. If you're looking to do something completely different, it could take longer. And that is okay. You got to work on your timeline. Okay. So don't feel that you're behind or anything. Like I've had clients like I've worked with for a year and a half or a year to make that big transition. I even have clients right now who I started a year and a half ago trying to figure out what's next, and had, because they were working and was burnt out and had to just decide to make that change. And now they're ready to really get things up and running to find a new job. So you have to be patient with this transition process as well. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the common career challenges here. And I want to hear from you guys. What are some of those common challenges that you're faced with? Here are some of the common ones that I often hear. Or sorry, this is like the scenarios. I want to actually ask you guys, what are the common scenarios that you feel like that you're in? There's like 3 scenarios. So the first one is the lost passion explorer, where you feel confused, uncertain of your direction, worried about making the wrong decision, want to find the right fit. Okay, so just feeling a bit lost and confused. Can you relate to this, right? This is scenario 1. This is oftentimes where I see clients where we need to spend more time on soul searching before job searching, where we could be spending maybe 3 months or even 6 months to figure out what's next. So I had a client a couple of years ago, a more junior client, about 3 to 4 years of experience at that time, and he completed his master's in Masters of Management. And he was a data analyst at a hospital in healthcare, and he was not happy or fulfilled. We spent about almost 6 months working together on figuring out what's next. And once he figured out what's next, like his whole energy, his whole presence was different. And the way he approaches job search, I actually did not really have to support his job search that much, because he got so much clarity of what he wanted. He actually just texted me because I asked him if I could talk about his story. He said how really coaching really helped him gain that clarity and confidence. And without that coaching, he wouldn't be where he is today. And he actually pivoted from being a data analyst to now being a director of business development in biotechnology. So different, right? He's working on more external type of work right now, like doing deals, working with the CEO. Before, like he was like crunching numbers, looking at data and reports, and it was so different. And we had to really go through and looking at a 360 of what does he really care about? What is he really passionate about out there? Okay, so that's the scenario 1, lost passion explorer. The second one is the bored career achiever. So this is for those who are currently working. You are a high achiever, you're working maybe like crazy hours, you feel burnt out, but you just don't like your job, or maybe you hate your job. And so I know there are some of you here, you told me that you're going to be participating, but you're not going to be typing in because you don't want your employer to know here. You're feeling unmotivated or undervalued. You're feeling afraid or guilty to make the change because you feel like, well, you should be grateful for being in a job, but you're just miserable and not happy here. You want to grow, but you're feeling right now too busy to make that change. And I see this a lot. Like I have some clients right now who are very successful in what they do, and they're working crazy hours, like 50, 60, or even 70 hours, and then have a lot of demands with like kids as well. And they really want to make a change, but it takes much longer time because there's all these other priorities there. Okay, so can you relate to this? And I want to say that if you are in this scenario situation, it is possible to make a change. I think the first step is taking care of yourself, making time for self-care. You need to first be able to make some time for yourself where you can have times for silence, to do reflection work, even if it's just 15 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day, that you have your own time in order to start doing some of this work to help you make this change there. You have to make that a priority, okay? All right, my last one here is the frustrated job seeker. Right? That you are maybe unemployed, feeling a bit desperate, feeling that you are lacking confidence, not sure how to stand out, and want a job ASAP. Right? And so this is where you're probably feeling, feeling stressed as well, like feeling stressed that you really just need something. And anything that you see, you probably just want to apply for just to get hired ASAP there. Okay. So when you think of these three scenarios here, right, it's this energy, when you think of energy of what I call it. My body is doing this, like almost feeling that tightness, right? Stress, burnt out, not sure what to do, or confused, right? And in order to make that successful change or that pivot or getting a job, you have to raise the vibrational energy and your thinking process as well. Because when you're in that low vibration state of just feeling nothing is working, it's really hard to make a change. So I'm curious to hear from you guys, right? Feel the type, which scenario that you feel like you're in, scenario 1, 2, and 3. And I want to hear from you guys in terms of how you're currently feeling. I want to check in with your energy level, right? From a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being feeling like amazing, like 1 feeling like, just awful. Where are you at right now in terms of your well-being? How are you feeling? Okay, check in with that. Okay, and I hope by the end of this training, I can help you raise that energy level up to get you excited, to have something for you to look forward to. So some of my clients right now, like those who are really burnt out in their jobs, I'm getting them to create an exit plan of leaving the role that they're not happy in, and to create a vision board of what they're excited about so that they have something to look forward to. Right? You need to have something to look forward to so that you can take these step-by-step actions to move closer to where you want to be there. Okay, so let me just take a pause. I just want to see where people are at, how people are feeling. 7, okay, so this is 7. 3, scenario 3, energy level, it's 2. Okay, all right, Elizabeth, we're going to have to raise that up for you there. Okay. Rose said to relate to scenarios 1 and 3, feeling unmotivated to continue job searching. Okay, I hear you there. All right, both 1 and 2 there. Okay, feeling a bit lost and burnt out probably. Okay, let's see here. Scenario 3, want a job but feeling lost too. Okay, all right, I hear you guys. Okay, energy levels at 4, 5. Okay, here. All right, so you guys most are feeling a bit blah. Right? Most. I'm going to help pump you guys up to elevate that energy, because you got to get into that high vibe state in order to really help you make that change there. Okay. All right. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. Scenario. Yes. 3. All right. Thank you for sharing that, guys. Okay. So thank you. This is good to know for me to know where you guys are at. Energy does matter here. So which scenarios you relate to the most. So let's talk about the career concerns. Okay, just talk about the challenges. I want to talk about the fears and concerns that I hear often that could be maybe holding you back or feel that you're paralyzed to actually make a decision. It's interesting. I find with a lot of my one-on-one coaching that I do, we'll do this work on the career exploration, like figuring out what's next. And ultimately, I get my clients to make a decision. You need to be able to make a decision in order to move forward, right? If you don't make a decision, you're still going to be feeling lost, and you just have to make a decision, decide. And the way I look at it, and this is why when I, from my business school training, having done like thousands of business cases, in our exams or assignments, we always had to make a decision. Even if we don't know all the facts, all the answers, we always had to make a decision in order to pass the test or the assignment there. So I'm going to walk you through a framework today to guide you in making that decision, because once you make that decision and commit to that, everything becomes much easier there. So I'll give you an example. Like I had recently a couple clients in very different careers. Like one is in digital marketing and another is in HR data analysts. And they both have come to the conclusion that they are very passionate about coaching. They're just really passionate about people, helping people, like doing work of like what I do. And they were afraid to admit that they want to do more of that work. And I had to basically repeat back what I'm hearing. These are things that I'm hearing here, and get them to claim this is what they want to do, and to explore further, for example, looking into like coaching training there. Okay, so that's like the first step there. So let's talk about these concerns. The first one, the fear is what? Judgment. Judgment in terms of age or an employment gap, lack of experience, or maybe lack of education. That's just a fear of judgment. If I were to do this, like, can I actually succeed? Okay, that's the first one. The second is the fear of change, right? Whenever there's change, there's always going to be uncertainty. And a lot of times, especially now, right now, I hear a lot of my clients tell me, I want to find something where I could have a stable job, have security, have that, that stable paycheck and income as well. That's important to them, which is nice to have. But the thing is, right now, I think that the world that we're in right now, like with the pandemic, and things are constantly changing all the time. There's this stat, I read it recently on another post as well, that by 2030, 80% of the jobs are jobs. I forgot what the other stat is, but basically most people also don't have the skills to fulfill those jobs. So it is so important right now for us to really think about, how can we like building that resiliency to be able to embrace change for these new opportunities to come as well. Okay, even though when it feels scary out there. Okay, so we got to practice this bravery muscle. Last week on Andrea Schwartz's show, that my guest interview, she talked about bravery is like a muscle that you can practice. Start doing things that scare you in order to embrace that change there. Third is the fear of failure. Finding that right fit. What if you make that wrong decision? What if you don't get hired? A lot of these what ifs, right? What if I don't enjoy it? And what's interesting, something I learned last week, even when I was talking to Andrea, is to flip the script of, instead of what if of these worst case scenarios, you also flip to the positive. Like, what if this opens more doors? What if I enjoy this? Like, what if this brings on more possibilities and opportunities? So we ought to also ask ourselves the positive what ifs as well. Okay. And, the question is, can we ever really know whether it's the right fit for us? It really depends, I think. And, something I always talk about is that, are you moving closer to where you want to go, or are you moving further? Okay. You may not 100% know. So for example, if you look at my career story, I thought consulting was the right fit because I'm like, okay, I'm going to human capital, training, design. That seems like a right fit because I like doing training work. I got into that, and it wasn't the best fit. And I had to experience it to realize it wasn't the best fit, because consulting is more about telling clients what the problems are, what the issues are, and project management. And then I had to realize that I actually want to do more work with people. Okay. And so I got into recruiting, thinking that would be the right fit as well, because it's closer to where I want to go, right? Working with people. And I did that for some time. I actually really enjoyed it. Like I did really well in recruiting. And then it wasn't until the last several years that I realized I wasn't enjoying recruiting as much compared to coaching. And I had to really analyze, like, why was that? Like, did I make the wrong decision or not? But what I realized it's come down to is also the nature of the work. Coaching, I realized it's all about empowerment, lifting people up. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about raising that energy and all that, inspiring people. Recruiting, even though I'm talking to people, helping people get jobs and all that, but majority of the time, even though I'm talking to people, I still have to do a lot of rejections. So I didn't really enjoy that, having to reject a lot of people, saying no to a lot of people. It's just a different energy, meaning I have to put on that, the rejection hat on, the judgment hat on in terms of evaluating the right fit. Whereas coaching, I'm like, oh yeah, you got what it takes. You can do this, right? So they're very different energy. And that's part of where you're assessing fit is, understanding that, like what really lifts you up there. And the fourth one is standing out. Fear of standing out. So whenever you're looking to make a pivot, oftentimes I hear clients saying like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to promote myself, or can I do this? I don't have experience in this. Can I call myself this? Or can I use this keyword? It feels awkward. And honestly, you're going to have to own it. You're going to have to own your greatness in order to shine and stand out there. Even though when you are making this change, okay, you have to own it so that people can see that potential in you. So I'll give you an example. A recent client who's new to Canada, very successful career in sales and operations in equipment finance, and had an interview in a risk management role, right? So going from a more external sales operations type of role to a bit more internal role doing risk management analysis, which he also has experience in. And one of the questions the interviewer would ask is, well, would you actually like this job? Because this is, very different from what you're used to doing. And I thought he gave a really good answer to talk about how he highlighted how this is going to help round out his experience and that this is a great opportunity for him to support salespeople being like new to the country. And he could assess a year from now to see whether this is a good fit there. And the interviewers appreciate that as well, because this opportunity was only like a 1-year contract there. Okay, so these are some things to keep in mind. So I want to hear from you guys, like, what are those fears that you have? What is your greatest fear with making a change in your career? I'm curious to hear from you guys. What is it? Because first step is recognizing those fears, right? You need to first acknowledge those fears in order to help you overcome those fears, right? So I'll use back an example last week with Andrea on the show. She talked about her fear was not about failure. Her biggest fear of making this change of a pivot into another industry was whether she'll actually like it, whether she'll actually like this opportunity. And so once you understand that, then you can then look at it from another lens of like, hey, what if I actually do like it? What are the possibilities there? Okay, so I'm going to take a pause to look at here, like, what is your greatest fear? Like, let's acknowledge our fears first so that we know how to overcome it. Like when I decided to start my business, right? My fear was failure. My greatest fear was failure. Like, what if I don't make it? What if I don't succeed? And my husband asked me this one question that changed everything. He's like, what's the worst case scenario? And when I looked at the worst case scenario, I was like, well, the worst case would be that if I don't succeed, I would find a new job. And then when I recognized that to find a new job, I'm like, okay, then it's not too bad that I'm just going to have to start all over again to find a new job. And then we also looked at our finances as well. We had to look at our finances in terms of, realistically, how long can I go, let's just say, if I don't succeed? Is it at 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? My husband being a numbers guy, he's like, okay, don't worry. He's like, we'll be fine for a year to year and a half if you don't make anything. And that's all I needed to hear to give me the confidence to give myself that push to launch my business there. Okay, so part of it's also having that honest conversation with your loved ones to really get a realistic picture there. Okay, so let me just see here. What are some of the fears? Okay, let me see here. Not sure how to stand out as a fear. Stability and security. What if my background isn't appropriate? I'm not qualified. Okay, the qualifications. Fear of making the wrong decision. Okay. I'm not afraid of change. I just have fear of not succeeding in the new career, which I am experiencing right now. Okay. Yes. Okay. So this is part of like acknowledging that, recognizing those fears, so we know what we need to do to overcome these fears that we have there. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. So someone wrote as well, I've taken a longer time than I would have liked to make a pivot and have tried many different fields to arrive at coaching. Knowing how to make a name for myself in the field is my biggest fear. Okay, so really growing like your brand and presence as well. I hear you. And this is part of, this is like the other piece, like part of it's promoting yourself, putting yourself out there. Fear of not succeeding. Yeah. Another one I hear, actually, I hear from some of my clients, they're like fear of disappointment. I have clients telling me sometimes, they're like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you. I'm like, you're not going to disappoint me when I decide. I'm not going to be disappointed, but they fear it because I think it's a fear of judgment. The fear of disappointment is because of the fear of judgment of how people will see them out there. Okay. All right. Fear to land a job where I'll be burned again. Burnt out. Okay. All right, these are good. Okay. Yes, Mina said, working on a budget. Yes, your advice of working on a budget is so key. You have to know what your budget is. I have clients right now. It's interesting. I don't know, because I'm just attracting more clients right now who want to pivot into starting their own coaching business, and some who are working. And one of the things I do talk about is looking at your budget. Is how much do you actually need to make in order to survive, and what is really realistic here? You got to have those honest conversations there. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips on overcoming the fears. I've gave you some already, but I want to give you some tips on. Number one is to focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. All right, so first is we got to work on our mindset, because a lot of times these fears, most of the time they're not real, right? False evidence appearing real. They just seem real because we're just thinking about it all the time, right? We got to change our mindset of how we see the situation, and we got to overcome any of these limiting beliefs that we have, that I'm not good enough, I don't have this, da da da. We need to overcome that, right? You got to work on, changing the way we think. And the way to do that is really investing in yourself. I have found, when you invest in your personal growth and development, that's when transformation happens. That's when you take, leaps and doing bigger things. So this could be either investing yourself through reading some books, taking online courses, investing in coaching, online training program, whatever that is. Do something to help you experience that transformation. I think we all need that transformation, that aha, in order to have this, they call the breakdown, to have the breakthrough as well. That is huge there, right? We all need some sort of that the transformation to give us that, essentially, that courage to change. For me, I actually 10 years ago, like when I was not happy in consulting, I invested in a very expensive program. It's like a $10,000 program, the Enlightened Warrior Training Camp, where my husband and I went for like a 5-day, highly physically boot camp, essentially, to figure out what you want to do with your life. I actually had to drag my husband to go because I had an extra ticket. He actually did want to go. But that was my transformation, where I came out on fire. My entire tribe was like, Diana, you have what it takes to become a speaker and a coach. Just go for it. And so that was all I needed to be like having that convincing moment that this is what I'm going to do. Even though I didn't know exactly what it would look like yet, I knew I just want to, this is my path there. Okay. So investing in yourself is key. Second is to embrace courage over comfort. Embrace courage over comfort. This is where you have to really go all in. Meaning, when we're just tiptoeing or on the fence, it's really hard to convince others to buy into why we want what we want there. You have to commit that you want this, so that people really believe, well, this is, yeah, you're going to make it happen. You're going to do it there. Okay. You got to make your why greater than your fears. Like, why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? Right? Practice bravery there. Take those steps, even though when it seems scary. So for example, when I was exploring coaching, this was over 10 years ago, my first step was taking coaching training. I invested in a coaching program that it was like a 6-month journey to really experiment whether I liked it and whether I wanted to become a coach. And I really enjoyed it. Like after that 6 months of training, like that's how I really started my business. So that's part of it, is testing things out as well. Okay. What's resonating with you? Is this resonating? Feel free to type in some hashtags or what's resonating with you there. Okay, tip number 3 is to own your greatness with confidence. This is one of my favorite sayings. It's on my wall, own your greatness. You have to really, like, this goes back to valuing yourself, right? This is something I do with all my clients to really understand, like, what is your unique value, right? Identify that, right? This ties into your strengths, your impact, your skills. Identify that value. Now, once we identify that value, you have to really believe in your value. So this is where the mindset comes in, right? The belief, working on all your limiting beliefs as well, to crush those limiting beliefs. You got to believe in that in order to sell yourself effectively there, okay? And then the lastly is to voice your value. So this is like the communication piece in terms of voicing of what you have to offer there. This is so key when it comes to overcoming your fears or looking to make that pivot there, okay? Is this resonating with you guys? Yeah? Okay. I'm trying to see if there's an example here that I can give you guys. Yeah, let me just think if there's an example to help you guys there. Oh, let me give you an example. Yeah, one of my recent clients, she's pivoting internally at a bank in a HR data reporting type of role to IT, something very different, IT and data transformation, change management type of role as a manager. And when she came to me, like she felt really lost. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do next. So we actually spent a lot of time together just exploring, what does she want more of, what's important to her and all that. And, she really wants to focus on developing her soft skills. And she's really actually has a passion in people. And what's interesting about this new opportunity that she's going for right now is a big part of the work is influencing people, change management type of work, but she's also leveraging her expertise in data and reporting because it's in IT, but they need someone who could do more of the process improvement, opportunity identification type of work there. Okay, and that's where she comes in. So she's making this type of pivot there. And we really had to understand like what her unique selling points are in terms of what is her value, believing in her value and voicing her value. She was so humble the fact that, she's been recognized as like the top best of the best employee at the bank. And I had to encourage her to really own that because that's what's going to help you make the pivot, because they're going to see that you're a high performer with high potential, even though you may not have experience in this area, but they know that you're going to work hard, right? So you got to really voice that you are a high performer and that you've been recognized as a high performer there. Okay, so that is an example there. Hey, Kevin, thanks for being here. Let's see. What do we have here? Let me see what else you guys have. Yes. My background has you relax. Yes, so the Zen mode. I have my, you see, I have my candle on and my the diffuser on as well. It smells nice right now here. It's very Zen. Okay, Angela said, overcome your fear. Just do it. Yeah, the more you do self-development, the more you grow. Absolutely. Okay, amazing. Okay, so let's move on to the next piece. So we just now talked about the challenges and concerns. Now I'm going to walk you through the method. Okay, so this is part of a Cole's Note version that I'm going to guide you through in terms of guiding you through to making a decision there. Okay, so feel free to take notes there. So how to evaluate your career options strategically. So I use the word strategically because I am teaching something that I've learned in business school of how to evaluate like a situation, a business case. And so I just want to walk you through that. It's simple framework, but I know it's not easy to do. Okay, but I want you to walk away that this is something that you can do step by step there. So this is the strategy framework, is the want, need, can analysis. So let me break this down. Okay, so the want essentially is around your motivation, really understanding yourself of what you want more of. So it's more future oriented, right? So this is where we're looking at the future out there. Okay, this is where you really have the permission to brainstorm, daydream, think big, no limits, right? Create that big vision here. Like this is where you really get to play. Like this is where it's going to get you excited out there. Okay, then we go into the needs analysis. So this is more the external analysis by looking at the demand, the market demand, right? The external market. Okay, presently, like if right now, currently in COVID as well times, what's in demand? What kind of jobs are in demand out there? Okay, and then the third piece is the can analysis, which is looking at your past, of evaluating your skill set and expertise. Okay, what is it that you have to offer? Okay, so that's the want, need, can analysis. I'm going to walk you through this step by step, but this is like a framework that I've learned through business school of how to do strategy work. This is strategy 101, want, need, can analysis. I wonder if I have any strategy consultants here. Is Simin still here? This comes from a strategy background here, but this is what I'm going to walk you through. Okay, awesome. Okay. Ooh, I love this quote from Andrea here. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Yes, yes, absolutely. It's like you start having signs. Like once you make a decision, you're going to start attracting, I don't know, opportunities or people because you're in that vibrational state there. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, there's some man. Thank you. Yes, you can share some of your strategy tactics here. Okay, so let's go into each one, the want analysis. So this is the first step. I like to start with the want, which is really their future, right? When I start working with clients, is really looking at discovering your desires. What do you want more of? Okay. This is a long, I won't say it's long, it is a long process actually. It could take a long if you're not sure what you want. Like I have an hour course that I walk clients through this, and it's often difficult when you feel you're stuck. But here are some things you want to consider. First, you can think about your dreams and your vision, right? This is where you would really dream big. Like, what is your career vision? Where do you want to head? I know it's hard to think about 5 years, 10 years, like none of us know that, but just start putting things out there in terms of like things that you just like, right? Like I got some of my clients here to make a vision board, right? Whether through, you can get like a Bristol board or on like Pinterest or Canva, whatever that is, create a vision board of things that you like, right? That just speak to you, that resonate with you there. Okay. I remember one of my clients that I worked a couple of years ago, she was in pharma sales and marketing for over a decade. And she knew she was not in the right fit. And she decided to make a pivot, wasn't sure what it was yet. And she created a vision board. Like she actually bought like a Bristol board, I think from the dollar store or something. And my first session with her, I saw it was on the back of her wall of essentially things that she desired more of, what she wanted more of. She wasn't sure what the role is, but it really helped her get more clarity. And she pursued a HR certificate, thinking because she wanted to do work more related to people development. So she thought HR certificate was the right way to figure that out. And then soon realized by going through that certificate, the training, that there weren't many jobs necessary of what she actually wanted. And so 6 months after she completed the program, she hired me. And through our journey together, we worked together for almost a year, actually. We discovered, just through understanding her dreams, her vision, and her strengths and interests and values, it was more aligned into coaching. That's what she, was more aligned to that. As I was paying attention to what she was telling me, she's actually more into coaching. So then she basically then took coaching training. And from doing that training, she met people there that got her the job. Right? I know I'm telling like a story here, but the point here is that it's so important to first really get clear on this vision of yours of what you want more of, right? Don't worry about making a mistake or wrong. There's no mistake here. You just have to put things that you enjoy. Okay, just have fun with that. And then you move into that assessment of your strengths. What do you naturally excel at? What are your superpowers? Okay, I like to ask that. Like, feel free to type in here to share with me, what are your superpowers? Okay. If you're not sure, someone asked me, well, what are some assessments you can do? There's a very popular one by Gallup Assessment, StrengthsFinder 2.0, that will help you identify your top 5 strengths. I really like that one just because it's very easy to identify your top 5 strengths, and it gives you some like examples and language to use. And once you identify your top 5 strengths, I always get my clients to think about what are some examples of how you demonstrated those strengths. Okay. And from there, we can identify some themes and patterns there. Another way to identify your strengths is to ask for feedback. Send out a survey to your friends, your colleagues, at least 20 to 30 of them, to really understand what are your superpowers, what are you good at, and what's the value that you bring. Okay. Pretty much any of my clients who do this exercise find it very eye-opening because there's like what they think and also what other people think. And this is where it's an eye-opening exercise to see, like, are you in alignment? When it comes to personal branding as well. Are you in alignment in terms of how you see yourself and how others see you there? Okay. Another piece is around looking at your interest. Interest is a huge one, right? This is where you really, I had like 10 questions that I posted this week on really looking at your interest area, which ties into what things that you care about, what do you enjoy learning, what do you enjoy talking about, what problems do you enjoy solving. This is really important, like especially for career and job search. Like, what type of problems do you enjoy solving? Okay. The way I like to think about it sometimes is to break it down into, do you like to solve, let's say, more people problems, right? Do you like to solve, do you enjoy doing work related to people, or do you enjoy, being more like a problem solver, like doing more strategy work or any type of work that requires a lot of problem solving? Or do you enjoy doing like more like project management type of work? Or do you enjoy doing more like process-oriented type of work? Okay, and that will help you gauge in terms of type of areas of business that you could explore further in. Okay, but interest is a big one that I want to encourage you guys to really explore, right? And you think about like what type of things you enjoy learning, like what books do you enjoy reading? that will give you a pretty good clue on what to focus on. Like, so for me, like growing up, I've always read a lot of leadership books, leadership, communication, body language, a lot, pretty much like any nonfiction books. I would subscribe to like the Success magazine. So I'm just so passionate about human behavior and human potential. I would just study it, right? So ask yourself, like, what do you just naturally read and pick up? And that could be some clues as well. Like I have some clients who are very passionate about technology. Like they really geek out on tech and they'll read every single whatever, like the industry news and all that. So just ask yourself that there. Okay. The other is the values. Values is a big one. Okay. So this is really where you want to assess what are your core values. I like to look at it as you can look at it personal values and work values. Usually they do blend together there. And what you want to do is by understanding your values is you also want to define what it means to you, right? The way, let's say, for example, like if you have a core value of authenticity, the way you define it could be different from me, right? What does that really mean to you? And also prioritize those values as well, right? Of what's really, truly most important to you. And that's going to become your guiding compass, right? By looking at strengths, interests, and values, it's going to become your guiding compass in helping you figure out what's next. There's going to be clues and patterns. You may not see this sometimes, and this is where the benefit of either talking to someone or working with a coach who would really help you connect the dots there. That's something I'm really good at, is really hearing people's stories and looking at what are some of those essentially breadcrumbs of things that they're consistently telling me that they may not see, that these are things that could be clues for your future potential career there. Okay. Is this resonating with you guys? Let me see here. All right. Andrea said, I sent a survey with 3 questions asking, what's my top skill or talent? What can I do better than 10,000 people? Ooh, I like that. That's your differentiation factor. What job title would best suit me? Oh, I love that. That's a great one, just to give you some clues as well. Okay, way to go, Andrea. I'm curious to hear, like, what were some of the results that came back? Does it align with what you're thinking there, or is it far off? Yes. The test is StrengthsFinder. Yes, StrengthsFinder 2.0, or if you Google it, Gallup assessment is where you'll find that there. Okay, I think it's like about $20, $25 US dollars there to take that test. Okay, good. Where else? Where are we at? Okay, this is resonating. Okay, so we talked about values. Values is really important. I really want you guys to take the time to think about this. Like, so for example, like I know for me, like when I decided to leave a corporate, for me, one of my core value is freedom, autonomy, and flexibility. They all tie in together. And so for me, this is why I decided to go into entrepreneurship, is because I really wanted more of that autonomy and flexibility to do work wherever I want, and whoever I want as well. Okay, that was really important to me. The other for me was around my other values, like authenticity, inspiration, and connection. And this is why you see I do live shows like this. It's because I do have a huge value for human connection. I want to connect with you guys. I want to talk to you guys as well. That's what's going to fill my cup there, right? So just by understanding your values, it's going to help you understand, like, what's the right fit in terms of opportunities. So if you're feeling stuck right now in terms of, let's just say at work, that you're just not happy of where you're at, or you're just feeling like you don't enjoy, or you're in a toxic environment, or you have a bad boss, I want you to flip the question and ask yourself, what values is this violating? Right? Because it's oftentimes you're not feeling good about something. It's oftentimes you're not honoring your values in the workplace. Right? So what's missing right now? And that's going to be a guide as to how you think about the type of environment that you really want to be in there. Okay. So as an example, this is where you want to think about, like, what are your non-negotiables when it comes to figuring your next career move? What are the non-negotiables, meaning the must-haves in order for you to say yes to the opportunity? Without them, you're going to walk away from that opportunity. Okay. So here's an example. An example could be, some clients where flexibility is really important. Like, they have young kids, and I actually seen a lot of these clients where they had kids that they want to make a career transition, where they want basically better work-life balance, better hours. That flexibility was so important to them. And so it's really important that for them, when they go through the interview process, then to ask those right questions to help assess fit. Okay. By identifying your core values, you can also then think about questions to ask in an interview as you move forward to see whether this is a right opportunity for you. Okay, so I want to encourage you guys. First, if you'd like, share with some of your values, but I want to encourage you guys, maybe some of you, to start right now, think about what questions can you ask either in an interview or an informational interview to help you assess fit. So it could be things like, what is the culture like? Right? And a lot of times people tell me the culture is really important. Like, what is the culture like? And to really understand that. That's like one question. Okay. I want you to maybe start typing in what are some of the questions you can start asking to help you evaluate fit there. Okay. It's flipping that script, right? Once you identify this is what's important to me, now I'm going to go investigate it. Okay. All right. So let's move on is to talk about success and happiness. Is really, what's your definition of success and happiness? Right? What does that look like to you? What does it mean to you? Right? Define that. Everyone is different, but once you have clarity on that, it's going to also help you guide you in the direction there. Okay, the next few ones. This is where you want to get clear on the ideal lifestyle, ideal roles, organizations, industries, and ideal salary. Okay. This is not easy to do. I know that. Okay, but first, let me talk about lifestyle. Ideal lifestyle, why that is important. Because it's important that it impacts the type of roles that you would want to take out there. So as an example, when I was deciding to start my business, I was debating between wedding planner versus career coaching. And I love both. I love event planning. I love connecting people as well. What it came down to, that my final decision was actually back to lifestyle. That I figured with wedding planning, I would oftentimes have to work on weekends, and I would have a lot of last minute logistical planning, changes and all that, and felt that could be a bit too, I don't want to say stressful, but it just like wouldn't fit with my ideal type of lifestyle in terms of flexibility. Like I wanted to have a bit more flexible lifestyle where I can maybe like work anywhere, move anywhere as well there. So having that clarity on that lifestyle is really important to get clear on that. I'll give you another example, even just my own personal story here. A couple years ago, 2 years ago, I took on a contract opportunity as a career advisor for a university. And it was a great opportunity because it was aligning the fact that I got to do what I love, which is coaching. I got to do event planning, bringing in industry experts to organize events, and I got to do training. So I was like, okay, this aligns with things that I love and that I'm great at. And one of my non-negotiables was I really needed flexibility, meaning flexibility where I could have the balance to work from home, or and also be in the workplace as well. Having that flexibility was really important to me. And I did ask for that. I did clarify that, meaning like whether I would get that. And the employer did say yes, like, I would have that flexibility. But unfortunately, after like a few months into the role, I realized that we can't have that because it's a unionized work environment there. And so that was really hard on me, and it actually impacted my health, like because I needed that flexibility with managing my business and being in this contract work, and with my kids just being super young at that time, like just starting like daycare. I needed more flexibility, and it impacted my health. It costed my health in order for me to realize, for me to be willing to say no, to eventually walk away from it. And so this is where it's so important to really ask yourself, right? What is it impacting as well? Like, what's the cost to you in terms of you being in a role that you are feeling miserable in, or it's impacting your health, your relationship, your family? What is that costing you? Right? And it wasn't until I actually had to take a step back where I actually went to a retreat. Talk about personal development. I went away for a retreat for a week in Mexico on a women's retreat, and it was a mastermind group where I really had time just to slow down, tune in to my heart of what do I want more of? What's really, truly important to me, right? Like, what am I afraid of? Get really, really clear on that. Right. And this is why I applied. If you're in a working crazy hours, sometimes it's really hard to make a change when you don't have that solitude or silence. You need to really walk away and give yourself that permission to tune into your intuition, your heart, to really be able to have that courage to make that move. And it was like through that retreat that gave me more clarity and certain that, I want to continue do what I do as a speaker, coach, and trainer in my own business. And so when I came back the next day, I resigned. And it wasn't easy, but I knew it was the right decision. And my health was better afterwards as well. Okay, so these are some things that you need to pay attention to. Like if it's impacting or costing you other areas of your life, it's a sign that you need to do something about it there. Okay, so that goes back to the lifestyle here. Now, ideal roles, organizations, and industries. This is where once you have more clarity of what you want more of, you need to get clear on what type of roles you're targeting. So this is where you want to write out your ideal job description. Right? Even though you may not know exactly what yet, but at least you're going to have some clues on what type of work do you want to do more of, right? List out what knowledge you want to gain, what skills you want to use, what experience you want to gain, what problems you want to solve, what impact you want to make. Write that out, like write out your own job description. Okay, because by doing this, you're already putting your intention out there. Okay, you're manifesting these opportunities, and you are going to talk to the right kind of people to help you attract those opportunities as well. Okay, so that's really key, getting clear on the role, and then getting clear on the type of organizations you're targeting. Are you targeting small organizations like startups, medium-sized, or larger enterprise corporations? Get really clear on that, because the nature of the environment and the pace of it is very different, right? So for some people, they want to go from small work environment, like a smaller type of work environment, to much bigger. Oftentimes that transition is much harder because just the pace is so different, right? So you got to be prepared for that as well. And when I even work with executive clients where they are used to like managing hundreds or thousands of people or multi-million-dollar type of businesses, I really challenge them to think about like, hey, do you really want to work in a smaller like company? Like, is that the right fit there? For some it is, but for some they're like, no, I really need a bigger challenge, something that's like more meatier. And so you got to really get clear on that of what's important to you there. Okay, if you're not sure, this is where I'll talk later. It's like this is where you can do more informational interviews to help you evaluate there. Okay, is this resonate, guys? Feel free to type in what's resonating with you. I want to see what's coming in here. Okay, industries. Get clear on your industries as well. Usually, I recommend to have only 2 to 3 industries. Reason being is that if you have more than 3 industries, the effort of your search is going to be so much more, right? Because every industry I consider is one search effort, right? So if you have 3, it's triple the search effort, okay? Because you got to talk to different people, read different news, read different articles. It's just a whole different type of project, essentially, that you have to do there, okay? And the other is getting clear on your ideal salary, right? Like what's your absolute minimum that you need to make? And what would be your ideal there? And this is going to help you evaluate the type of jobs that you're going to go after, like whether it really makes sense for you to do that pivot there. Okay. Okay, let me take a little break to look at some of the comments that's coming in. Like this is like essentially the want analysis there. Okay, let me see here. What's coming in? So Mina said, I often ask my clients, what are your top 3 criteria or most important things for you in your next move? This often uncovers non-negotiables and values. Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for that. I like to ask that too, because it becomes your evaluation criteria, right? Like it's a similar when you think about this, like, you know, as recruiters, you know, we would have a criteria as well. Like what's our checklist of things that we need to have in order to move the candidate forward? It's similar for you as a job seeker or career changer, is like what's really important and what are my negotiables? And if I don't have these, this is not the right fit there. Okay. You know what? One of the questions I like to ask my clients to decide whether to pursue an opportunity is, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your interest level? 1 to 10, right? If it's not more than an 8, you should not pursue. If it's just like 3 or 4, it's not the right fit. So I'll give you an example. I was just working with another executive client here, supporting him, and I told him to aim high. Like this person, very successful, senior marketing director in CPG and pharma, really impressive experience, and new to the country, thinking that he needs to maybe take a step back. And I was telling him, no, you should be aiming higher. You should be going for VP level roles, given your level of experience. So he took that advice of aiming higher, like meaning targeting more like senior director, VP, or even maybe like CMO type of roles at smaller organizations. And he showed me this opportunity that was like a CMO title, which is pretty cool. I was like, okay, let's look into it. And so we'd, you know, look into that, analyze it together. And I asked him a lot of questions, right? Because we were really clear the target was want to target companies that are more bigger enterprise companies, because it comes from big pharma, big CPG companies in marketing. And this opportunity was actually in tech. like health tech specific. It was much smaller, like about 50 people organization. And so, obviously he was very excited about it. And I was like, probing and probing. And my last question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your interest level? Because we're trying to decide, should I pursue or not? And he said 2. I was like, 2? Then we don't have to pursue it if it's an interest is 2. And so, but what interested him was because he aimed high. He listened to me to aim high and looked for a CMO title. But really, the interest level, it was only a 2, right? I'm like, this is a no-go. This is not the right fit, okay? So then we continue doing that search, like what would be a better fit? And he recently found another opportunity, a much better fit. And the interest level is 9. And we're pursuing it there, okay? Ooh, I love that question. Kevin asked. Kevin is a recruiter. You guys need to connect with him. Kevin is an experienced recruiter. What would a successful candidate look like 12 months from now? I love that question, Kevin, because this is going to help you understand expectations, priorities, deliverables. What do you need to be able to deliver and do to be successful? That is a fantastic question to ask there. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Ooh, Simyan asked, why have you decided to build your career here? Oh, that's a great question, because that's going to help you to understand, like, what do they like about working here? What do they enjoy, right? Amazing. That's a good question as well. Okay. Good. Thank you. This is so good. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm only on my want analysis with you guys with my first hour of training. I knew this would go longer. This always takes longer. This is why I don't usually do this type of training, because it takes a longer time. Okay, I got to speed up here. So the next one. Okay, now that we've done the want. Okay, so essentially I want you guys to take away, like, spend this weekend, do some journaling, do some reflection work, just get started. Okay, what I just got started with. Should then talk to a friend or a family member of what you're thinking of. Okay, just do that analysis, the first step. Next is the need analysis. Okay, once you have the want. Okay, now I do want to put it out there that you're not going to all of a sudden have all the answers. Okay, like, this is a journey. Like, I guide people through like 3 months, 6 months, or sometimes a year too. So don't rush the process. Like, don't be so hard on yourself if you don't know yet. Okay, but at least you have some clues there. Okay, so let's move on to the need analysis, which is, this is the external market need and demand, right? You got to understand the scope of the role, understand the hiring requirements. The way to do this is really through a lot of research and conducting informational interviews there, right? This is key, because this is going to help you eventually to help you pivot to position yourself for success. So I'm going to give you some questions to think about how to understand the needs analysis here, right? This is the market research. I'm going to give some questions. Feel free to type it out, type it in as I'm speaking here. So first, understanding the market need. Some questions you want to ask yourself. What industries and companies are growing? Right? Look at what industries and companies are growing. That will be a clue that they are hiring, right? If they're growing, they are hiring. What skills and jobs are in demand? What skills and jobs are in demand? These are 2 questions to ask. So just from my experience this past year of supporting a lot of clients, I have found, in terms of the type of industries are growing, the jobs that have been in demand, typically are related in more either the technology type of industry, the e-commerce type of industry. There's just been an exponential growth of things related to tech, I would say. I've had clients go into like product management, digital marketing, cybersecurity is another big one right now, risk management, anything related to cloud, software, anything like that, that's been in demand. I have seen more of that for sure there. So you really want to understand, do an assessment of understand what industries or companies are growing there, right? Because that's really where you can find what you call more stability in terms of opportunities as well, right? Like more longer term opportunities. Now, mind you, like, there are still organizations that are growing where they are also restructuring or laying off people as well, because it depends on functional areas or departments there. Okay. Now let's talk about understanding the job. What kind of questions can you ask in terms of understanding the job? You want to ask questions like, what are the day-to-day responsibilities like? What are the day-to-day responsibilities like? The reason I like to ask this question is to really understand the different areas of responsibilities. Okay. And that follow-up question is, what do you spend majority of the time doing? right? That will also help you assess fit there. So for example, I have a client right now who is in project management, IT project manager, and her passion is writing. She wants to pivot into becoming a writer. And that's a pretty big change, right? And so, it's really important to start understanding like what could be maybe some what I call bridging roles, meaning if you don't start doing writing immediately, what could be a good pivot? So we talked about, for example, could be pivoted into a project management role in like marketing, like a product marketing manager that could allow her then eventually move into, let's say, a marketing communications type role there. But in order to make that essentially choice, right, the decision here is you got to understand what are the day-to-day responsibilities like and what do you spend majority of time on and whether you actually like that. Okay, that's really important. So I'll give you an example. Like I had a client who was also in an analytics type of role. She loves analytics. So she did her master's in it, but she didn't like the role she was in. And when I dug further, I realized that while she liked analytics, she didn't like what she spent majority of the time on doing. And so I had to ask her to understand that. She spent majority of the time doing coordination project management work, like 80% of that time. And she wanted 80% of the time doing data analytics work, like analyzing, geeking out the data there. So this is really important for you to ask, like when you're evaluating an opportunity or interviewing, is what am I spending majority of the time on? And am I going to enjoy it? Okay. You're not going to have 100% that you're going to enjoy something 100%. There's always going to be some sort of administrative work that you're not going to like, but do you get to spend at least 50% of the time doing what you love? Okay. Okay. Is this resonating? Let me just check here. Okay. Yeah, Barry's like saying, so many job descriptions today have been watered down and generalized. It's hard to determine a perfect fit based on those. Yeah, that's interesting that you have that observation. I've seen that too, Barry. I have a feeling because things are changing right now so much that it's hard to pinpoint exactly the scope of the role. So that it's a bit more generalized. And this is why it's so important that you guys need to put on that interview hat on as well. You have to investigate and research further to see whether that's the right fit there. Okay, so moving on is understanding the hiring requirements. So this is where, understanding like what are the must-have versus preferred qualifications. Okay. Must-have versus preferred. Must-have is meaning that minimum qualifications in order to be a good fit for the role versus preferred. So my usually rule of thumb is that if you have even 70% of the qualifications, you should go for it. You don't need to have 100%. From my experience as a recruiter, really rarely I have seen someone has like 100% match. I don't know if you have any other recruiters, like if Kevin, you're here, like I don't know if you ever find like 100% match type of fit candidate here, but from my experience, it's really hard. There's always going to be trade-offs, right? So you got to understand what are the must-haves and the preferred qualifications, because that's going to help you then, how can I best position myself there, okay? And then understand what are the key success factors of an ideal candidate. What are the key success factors? So what does success look like? Okay. To be honest, this is hard for you to just read the job description to figure out. You actually need to talk to people to learn more. Like you should be interviewing at least 5 to 10 people to get a better idea of it there. I always do this kind of exercise with my clients, especially when we go to the interview round, is to really understand what are the must-haves, preferred qualifications, what are the key success factors. Because if you understand that, you know how to best market yourself effectively there. Okay. So this is the needs analysis. Okay. Does this make sense? Okay. We went through the internal analysis of what you want. And then we went through the external analysis, which is the need to understand, like, where are the opportunities? Where could you potentially go after these options there? Okay. 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 So let's move on to the can analysis here. Okay, now that we've done the needs, we want to do the can analysis, which is really knowing what you offer, right? Now that you understand what employers are looking for, this is where you have to assess your expertise, which is assessing your knowledge, skills, and experience. Okay, what is it that you have? Do an inventory of that. And then you want to understand your track record of success. So this is really understanding your achievements, results, and your performance. This is what I call the proof, the evidence of support. Employers want to understand not only what you have to offer in terms of your expertise, but like, what's your track record of success? Like, do you have a solid track record of success there? And then from there, it will help you identify like, what is your unique value proposition there? Okay, like what is your edge? Right? What really differentiates you? Okay? This is not easy to do. I know that. And this is where like I come in as a coach and really helping my clients, because just from my experience as a former recruiter and have worked with so many clients, that I can really help them really quickly pinpoint what their differentiation factors are. And you really need to hone in on those key unique selling points, because that's how you're going to have to really sell yourself to position yourself as a great fit. Even though you may not have all the requirements or experience, but if you have some of these important qualities that are important, that could be a deal breaker for the employer. So I'll give you an example. Like right now, you probably have heard like soft skills is such a hot thing this year that they're talking about, like employers are focused on soft skills, which is like leadership, communication, problem solving, team building, all these soft skills. And I've seen right now, like even like a lot of my executive level clients, like senior level clients, they are getting newly created roles, like brand new roles, because of the market changes of the trends and all that. Brand new roles, like meaning they're combining things. Like I have a client who pivoted from hospital to long-term care. She has a role in strategy, innovation, and partnerships. It's like a 3-in-1 type of role. But her competitive edge is, she has like these contacts, these industry contacts that she can really leverage to tap into. And so what's really interesting, I think, is that if you really know what your value is and you can understand what the business needs are, you are creating a new possibility for the employer to think of like, hey, what's a new role that we can put this person into that will help us to continue to grow there? And I see this a lot right now. Like I have a couple actually executive clients who are in that space, like a newly created role. For example, like cybersecurity is really hot right now, right? And there's a big need for that. And so when my client like pitched himself for this opportunity, he contacted one of the competitors to pitch himself and got a newly created role for him, because of his unique expertise there. Okay, is this resonating? I don't see any chats coming through, so I just want to see like what are you guys thinking here? I cover so much right now. Okay, so this is, I think, the end of the can analysis. Now that we've done this 3-part analysis, you got to ask yourself the so what. Right? This is something I really learned in business school. You always need to ask the so what, meaning once you gather all these facts, right? The facts of what you want, what the needs are, what you can offer, the so what here. Like, what does this all mean? We got to tie it all together, connect the dots, and ask yourself these questions. What's clear to you? How do you feel? What does your heart say? What are you saying yes to, and what are you saying no to? Right? This is part of decision making. Okay, you can't just say I don't know. You have to like really be like, this is what I know is true. This is how I'm feeling, and this is what I'm saying yes to. This is what I'm saying no to. Okay. You can also ask yourself, what additional skills, knowledge, or experience do I need to make this change? Right. So for example, I use examples around like coaching. For those who want to go into coaching, is to go and get like a coaching training to see if this is something you really like, to validate that. Okay. And to also enhance your credibility. What's your decision? What's your action plan? Right. So ultimately, you have to make a decision. Do I go down this path or this path? You got to make that decision. But while you are in this exploration phase, I want to encourage you to just have an open mind first and evaluate. Evaluate all the options, right? Identify those options. Evaluate the pros and cons of each option there to help you make that decision. Okay. And then from there, we can come up with an action plan of how you want to tackle your job search or find a new opportunity. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Barry said key is research and readiness. Yes. Now, here's the thing, though. You can also easily get into analysis paralysis. I had clients who got into that as well, like go in that rabbit hole where, they take a long time to go through that research. And it's because of fear, like fear of not being enough or don't have this. But ultimately, you have to make a decision, okay, of what you really want. And I would say, like, give yourself no more than 6 months to make that decision, because once you have that, it's going to be really long. It's okay that it could take longer to make that change, but you need to make a decision in order for you to move forward, right? In order to take the appropriate action steps to make that change there. Okay. Okay. So here's one of the quotes I love from Tony Robbins. If you stay in your head, you're dead. Okay, so this is where I know, even though I went through this whole analysis with you guys as well, which is important, it goes with strategy, ultimately it has to come from your heart. Okay. It has to come from your heart where do you believe in this? Do you feel this is the right decision? Is this what your heart is telling you as well? It has to balance between the head and the heart as well. Like and this is why you have to have stillness or solitude in order to help you tap into what your heart is telling you or the intuition is telling you there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Is this resonating? Okay, we're wrapping up here. So I'm going to go into how difficult is the change. And now that I walked you through this whole analysis, I want to give you some a check in terms of the difficulty of change to help you evaluate that. Okay. Okay. So here's my 2x2 graph. For those who are consultants, this is what we learn in consulting, is have a simple 2x2 graph to guide you through to assess the difficulty of change. So the way I look at it, vertical is the industry, the horizontal is the career, right? So you see quadrant 1, same career, same industry, right? Quadrant 2, same career, change in industry. Quadrant 3, change in career and same industry. And quadrant 4, change career, change industry. Okay. So when you look at this, number 1 is the easiest change to make. Why? Because you're doing this similar, right? Same career, same profession, and in the same industry. It's going to be the easiest change to make, meaning that should be the fastest for you to get a new job offer, right? Because you're staying similar into your expertise. And what most of the times recruiters is looking for that relevant experience, relevant industry expertise as well, is that, okay? So then you look at quadrant 4, that is the hardest change to make, changing career and changing industry. So what that means is you're doing something completely different, changing into another industry, and that's going to take the longest time. Okay. And this is where it's so easy to give up because you're going to start doubting yourself. Do I have what it takes to make this change? Okay. And I want to share a story of one of my clients. I don't know if Mina, you're still here or not, but my client Amina here, I supported her over 3 years ago. Yeah, almost 4 years ago. She made a pivot from being a sales engineer for I think about almost 18 years to becoming a career coach at a career transition company. And that's a big change when you think about that. Sales engineer to career coach. That's quadrant number 4 when you look at it. Okay. And as I was preparing for this training, I asked her how long was this transition, right? Part of this transition. So her and I worked together. I think it was about 9 months in terms of actually securing the job, and 9 months making that transition of actually finding a role as a career coach at a career transition company. But prior to this of working with me, it was between, I think 2012 to 2016, about 4 years, almost 4 years of going through this transition of figuring out what's next, going through coaching training, getting certified, sitting on the board of the ICF as well, assisting training, volunteering as well, and to prepare herself for this transition. And she hired me specifically to help her reposition her brand. And so when you look at that, it may seem a long time. However, she's doing what she's passionate about right now as well. And it's taken these multiple steps to make that change there. Okay. Now, if you look at quadrant 2, same career, change in industry. This one is pretty common. Okay. I would say I've been seeing a lot of this one since the pandemic, a lot of people pivoting industries, right? Especially if you've been in the same industry for, let's say, a decade or more, you may just feeling just bored, but you still enjoy what you do. You just want to do it in another industry where you learn about new industry trends, the new lingo and all that, new products and services. That's quite common. And I see that a lot right now in terms of employers are willing to take talent from other industries who may come from that similar background there. So as an example, I have seen a lot of banks who are going through major transformations, business transformations, digital transformations. They have recruited talent from the tech industry or telco industry. That's pretty common that I see. So that one is pretty easy to make, I would say, when you're looking to change industries. What you do need to do is you need to learn more about this industry to help you understand the trends, the challenges, and opportunities so that you can speak about it in an interview there. Okay, so this one you can technically still work with recruiters because they're more open to that. Whereas the other one, quadrant 3, changing careers, same industry. So this one is doing something different, but in a similar industry. What you can consider doing is if you are like working, is consider pivoting internally, right? Let's say going from marketing to sales or training to sales or HR to IT. You can consider doing something like that, an internal pivot, before you make that next pivot externally there. So that's one option. If you're looking to, let me just think here, if you're looking to change careers in the same industry, the other thing you can do is maybe look to get some education as well to help you upgrade a certain skill. So as an example, like I've seen people where they want to become a product manager, as an example, and they decide to go down the path of getting like a, what's that certificate called in Scrum Master, a Scrum certificate, or any of these product management certificates to help them elevate their marketability there. Okay. Now, this quadrant 3, oftentimes recruiters may not be as open to it because they're looking for that, do you have experience in that area? I find that it's easier to make this change if you go direct to working with the hiring managers or executives for them to see the potential in you there. Okay. Awesome. Oh, you're still here, Mina. Thank you. Okay. I want to get your thoughts on this. Where do you guys fall under? Like, if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, what kind of change are you looking to make? Right, for you to understand the difficulty of change. Like 1 being the easiest, 4th being the hardest. That's going to be the longest change, but it's still possible to make that change. Okay, like actually I'll share with you like different examples here. I had another client a long time ago. He was in the airline industry for 30 years. He was ready for retirement, like 30 years, same company here in Canada. And he approached me and he's like, I'm reaching retirement. However, I still want to work for another decade, another 10, 15 years. And, my kids have all grown up now. My wife and I want to move abroad, right? Like this was at least 5 years ago now. And so like, okay, what do we do? And he has never updated a resume or LinkedIn profile or anything, nothing at all, right? For 30 years, the same company. But he was really eager to do something different abroad. So we had to figure out what that would look like. And eventually he made a pivot to working in consulting in the UK. And it was leveraging his expertise in the airline industry. I think it was in analytics type of work there. And so he was able to pivot into consulting, being like the subject matter expert for the company there. So he made that successful pivot. But obviously we had to really like transform his LinkedIn, his resume, how he networked with recruiters. Like he had to reach out to international recruiters as well, and how to overcome like the ageism issue as well. We all had to work with to help him make that successful transition. So the reason I share this example is I want to show you guys, like doesn't matter what age stage you're at, it is still possible to make the change. It may just be taking a bit more time, it may be a bit more difficult, but it is certainly possible there. Okay, so let me take a look here. So Rose is in number 4. Okay, Taryn, number 4 here. Okay, 3, 2. Okay, good. Okay, so what I want you to, now that we understand what difficulty of this change is, it's going to give you a bit of a reality check of how long this change could take, right? It's just having that simple reality check. Because a lot of times people ask me like, how quickly can I land a job? Right? And I mean, on average, usually it's about 4 to 6 months. But if you're feeling lost, it could take 6 months or more, a year, right? And if you are at a more senior level, it could take even longer. Like I had a couple years ago, an executive client at SVP level, 20 years, the same company, managed a huge portfolio, thousands of people that she managed. And it was about a year and a half for her to make that transition to another big company, doing something similar. So during that time, she did consulting work, consulting for different industries to learn something new. She wanted to do something different as well and learn a new industry. Okay, so you can also think about some bridge opportunities as well, like in between when you're in the transition, go experiment to see like, what can I learn? What do I like to test things out as well. Okay, you're not just going to, through this analysis, figure out this is exactly until you actually do some experimenting and talking to people to see whether it's the one there. Okay. Okay, thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm so thirsty right now. I've been talking for an hour and a half. Thank you for the positive feedback here, guys. Okay, so yes, what type of change you're making? You guys are sharing that here. Okay, so here's the thing. Change is hard at the beginning, messy in the middle, rewarding in the end. Okay, it's just so fulfilling in the end once you get there, but it's going to feel scary and messy in the middle. Okay? And you're just going to have to keep pushing through there, right? And this is why having someone like an accountability, like a friend or a coach, whatever, someone like who can hold you accountable will help you to stay focused and motivated to move forward there. Okay, so I want to end on career fulfillment. This is something I'm really passionate about. I actually have, back when I first started, I made these career fulfillment cards as well that I gave out as like a postcard for people. What career fulfillment is, right? Career fulfillment is doing work that you're great at. It's doing work that you're passionate about. It's doing work that you're well paid to do. Career fulfillment is doing work that honors your values, that you find meaningful, that calls to you. Career fulfillment is doing work that inspires you, that challenges you, and that makes a difference. So that's what career fulfillment is. If you're looking for that, that's going to give you that more meaning, more impact, more joy. These are things that you want to be looking for when it comes to that next career move of what you really want there. Okay. Do what you love what you do. Okay. Find something that you're going to love that's not going to feel like work there. Right. Like for me, I really enjoy what I do. Like I love coaching, I love speaking, I love training. It's something I'm really passionate about and I continue to stretch myself to get better at as well. Yes, there are going to be days where, that's going to feel like a lot or that I don't enjoy or the administrative work. The majority of the time, I really enjoy it. Like at least 50% of my time, I'm coaching. I'm connecting to my clients. I'll be talking to like a dozen or 20 plus people, through chats there to help them with their career. And I find that very rewarding. So it's so important to find something that you're going to really enjoy and that you feel like that you are making a difference and impact as well. Okay. So here are my key summary lessons for today's training. I know it's a pretty long training, but here are my key lessons. Is number one is to face your fears, right? Recognize your fears and then deal with your fears, okay, so that you can move forward. Second is to decide what's next strategically. Okay, go through the analysis of the want, need, can analysis and ask yourself the so what. What are you going to decide to do and what's your action plan? At the end of the day, I want you to also trust your heart and your intuition, not what others are telling you what to do there. Next is to embrace change. Change is not going to be easy, but you have to have that embracing change attitude in order to help you find something that's meaningful. And then lastly is to go all in, right? Once you decide, go all in, right? Don't be on the fence. Don't be like half-ass. Like don't do that because it's just going to feel very exhausting. Like you have to decide, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do it, whatever it takes attitude, right? Take massive action. That's how you're going to move forward to find something that's going to be meaningful to you there. Okay, so I hope you find this training valuable and that you learned a lot. If you want more free resources, feel free to come over to my website at mymarkability.com/resources. I have three free resources. One actually on career clarity, where I walk you through my Discover formula, that I walk you through some more questions that you can ask yourself. You can also get training on networking and interview prep as well. Okay, and if you want to work with me one-on-one or in a group, there are a couple of ways you can work with me, either through executive one-on-one coaching. Usually I work with clients who are looking to make that big transition and need support through that, and it's just pure one-on-one coaching where you get access to me. And then I also work with mid-level clients who are in that transition, trying to figure out what's next, where it's a hybrid of group coaching and one-on-one coaching there. And then I also do interview coaching because of my recruitment background. If you're in that stage where you're interviewing but not closing, I also do that one-on-one interview coaching to help you land that offer and earn more as well. And then I also have some online courses there. Okay, so if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me and book a call as well if I can help you further. A lot of times with my programs, I do support my clients from anywhere from 4 months to 6 months to some a year. So I do provide that end-to-end support from that career clarity to personal branding, job search strategy, networking, interview prep, and salary negotiation. That's what I do there. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for being here, guys. Let me also wrap up with some of my upcoming events. This is going to be a busy month. I haven't shared this yet. I don't know if you guys, some of you know, but I'm going to be taking a break from my lives next month, just because it's been really busy over here and I have other projects I need to work on. I have some private speaking and training engagements that I need to focus on as well. So I'm going to be taking a break next month. So I encourage you to come to my events for this month. And because it's Women History Month, I'm going to be focused on some more women-related events here. So tomorrow, I am speaking at a private event called Make LinkedIn Work for You, Strategies and Tactics for Branding and Networking in a Virtual World. So I'm going to be talking about personal branding, how to build your brand on LinkedIn, how to leverage content marketing to build your expertise and generate opportunities, and also how to network effectively on LinkedIn there. So if you're interested, just go to my website there at mymarkability.com. Let me just put it up here to register. It's tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'll be speaking for the first hour. And then there's another speaker speaking on the more networking tactics there as well. Okay. And then next week, so I know next Monday is International Women's Day. So in honor and celebration of International Women's Day, I am hosting an event called Own Your Voice, Value, and Visibility with 6 women of color speakers. I am super excited to have my guest speakers. We're going to be talking about overcoming imposter syndrome, building career confidence, voicing your uniqueness, building your personal brand. It's going to be amazing. So I encourage you to come to that one. It's going to be a bit longer session because I'm interviewing each speaker for about 20 minutes there. And then the week after, March 19th, I'm super excited. I'm going to have a husband and wife come on, thriving as dual career couples. We're going to have Johan and Shuyan to come to speak with me of how they pursue their career paths, like their career passions, and how they thrive as a couple as well. So this is my first time doing this. Super excited to have them to come join me. March 26th, that is actually my 10-year wedding anniversary. And that day, I'm going to be hosting a Women in Leadership panel. I'm going to have 3 to 4 speakers to come on to talk about their career advancement journey, leadership, hiring, mentoring, coaching, anything related to, in the corporate world. I have some of my friends coming there. They're all at the VP level, executive level. So super excited. I hope you guys will join me. Like, feel free to sign up and help me spread the word as well. I'm putting a lot of time and effort in running these events there. Okay, so any questions? I want to ask you guys, what's your biggest takeaway from today's training? Oh, need to hear the replay. Thank you, Joan. So insightful, so much value offered to working with you when I transitioned was the best investment I made. Oh, thank you so much, Mina. I thoroughly enjoy working with you as well. And I'm so proud of you that you made this career transition. And I know that you're doing your life purpose work there. Thank you. Oh, thank you. So great to see all these comments coming in. I really appreciate, guys. Thank you so much. Tell me, what are your biggest takeaways from today's session here? Was this helpful? Did this help you, give you a framework? Soul searching before job searching. Yeah. What are you excited about? What's your energy level at? You know how I asked you guys today earlier, like, where are you at right now? Are you excited about what's next? What's the next step? Great to see you here, Terry. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Great to see you. Okay. Yes to replay. Yes, go catch the replay on my YouTube. I will be adding timestamps later on as well, but best to watch it on YouTube because it's just a better quality there. Okay. Awesome. Great to hear that. Very supportive. Inspired to take action. Awesome. Good stuff. One book I always recommend to people if you're feeling very lost is called Designing Your Life. Designing Your Life. By Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. I really like this book as it goes even more in depth of, in terms of career planning as well. So you're still feeling very, very lost, like, take a look at this the book as well. Okay. Ooh, March 26th is your birthday, Nathaniel. Okay, I'll remember that now that I know. Oh, that's a very special day. We're going to have to celebrate. Neely said it. That's my son's birthday too. Awesome. Oh, was this good? I want to hear, like, I actually want to hear from you guys. Like, I want to look at the comments now. I know I've been talking a lot through this training, but I want to hear from you guys of what are some of the steps that you're going to take, right? What are those action steps? So I know it could seem daunting, but if you look at here from what I talked about today, what are some of the specific things that you're going to do? Like, this is where want to hold you accountable as well, that you can declare those action steps that you're going to take to help you move forward. Okay, I know that it may seem like now, with the pandemic, that it's still very hard. I know it's a very tough time right now, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, you got to focus on what you can control, focus on what's best for you, and to trust yourself to take that next best step. Right, just take that next step and just keep moving forward and move forward, and you're going to find, what's the right thing for you there. Okay, you can keep doing that. Okay, and you got to trust yourself that you are in the right direction there. Okay, I've seen it time and time again. Like, I've supported so many clients. I know it's possible. But going back to what I said at the beginning, you first need to change your mindset. You got to raise the vibration energy level up. You have to believe, right? And you have that hope and the excitement of something to look forward to in order for you to have that motivation to move forward. That's going to be the first step. Okay, if you're feeling in that stuck energy level, do something. Listening to good music, right? Doing something like self-care activities, playing, whatever that is. Get into that good mood, okay, to get you in that high vibe state there. Okay. Okay, let me see. Validate my career options. Open my eyes. Good to hear that. Thank you, Lisa. Biggest takeaway: want, need, can analysis. Awesome. I missed best of the best session. Who is that, I wonder? Oh, you're welcome, Stephen. Thank you for the clarity on what the process ahead of me is. Good to hear. And you know what, guys? If you've already made a pivot before and that was not the right fit, it's okay. It's okay to make another pivot, right? If you look at how I made multiple pivots in my career, like pretty early in my career, learn from those lessons, right? From those experiences. What are some of the things that you've learned from that experience? What do you like? What don't you like? And how can I combine it as well there? Okay. Embrace the journey. Good stuff. Good. Awesome. This is good. Oh my God, I love this. I don't know. I'm feeling more calm and zen right now too. Like, as I'm wrapping up here with you guys, I'm feeling this more calm energy. A reminder to be patient and more strategic. Yeah, patience is so key, especially when you're looking to make something big and change. Something you can also look at is to, find your board of advisors. I have one of my executive client, I interviewed her and I asked her, like, how do you manage your career? And she talked about how she has her own board of advisors, like her friends who give that external, outside perspective view as well. But it's really important at the end of the day is you don't make a decision based on what your friends tell you to do. You have to still go back to, like, is this aligned with what I want? Ultimately, is there alignment with what I want? Okay, even as a coach, I can't tell my clients what to do. I can guide them. I can provide them options and to think about. Ultimately, you have to make your own decision for yourself. You know what's best for yourself. Okay? Good stuff. Okay, well, thank you. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to wrap up here. I really appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing you, my upcoming events in the coming weeks. Feel free to sign up and help me spread the word. Do me a favor, feel free to click a like or a heart here, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or follow me on LinkedIn as well. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.